So before I get into breaking this show down like a shotgun, I just want to make sure this show was on Netflix, right? What's up, you guys? I'm Rob, the wrestling old head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling, and I'm about to break down Raw's debut on Netflix like a shotgun. I'm a little late because I wanted to set the mood, let everything simmer. This was a once in a lifetime event, something that I never got to experience when Raw did, or when WWE was the WWF and they did WrestleMania for the first time, the first ever WrestleMania, or the first ever Saturday night main event. I was around for the very first WWF Monday Night Raw, but I wasn't able to stay up for it, so I had to VHS tape it and watch it the next day. So that's how long I've been a wrestling fan. For those that know, the first ever WWF Monday Night Raw 1993, I was there, and now I was here for the first ever WWE Raw on Netflix. It's a different world on the streaming platform Netflix, isn't it? And I'm sure that this was a very polarizing episode. Now, if you were going into the show expecting to see a big event where it was a lot of matches and storyline progressions, it seemed most of it was non-canon, in the sense that this was a show to welcome new audience members, maybe audience members that had tuned out a long time ago, welcome them back, gather the old fans, gather some new fans, and gather the diehards, put them all into one little bundle, and hope that they all stick around for the ride of the rest of WWE through the year 2025. I have said on my channel for a long time that the WWE was gearing up to go into an entirely different era. The era of cinema. And I know it's played out. At the time, it was even played out when I did the video, but it's so true. This was a preview of what most WWE events are going to look like. However, this is not how Raw is going to look like, and that should be overstated. This is something that people are going to put into a box and call it the red carpet WrestleMania, because this was very much like a WrestleMania type of a Raw. Just like Saturday night's main event was like that, the first 5 minutes of a movie type of a preview for what PLEs look like for WWE. This was a 3-hour preview of what WrestleMania normally looks like for the WWE. I mean, I joked on X or Twitter or whatever that they should have had the Slammies during this, because most of the stuff was guys coming out, cutting promos. There were like 4 matches in the 3-hour show, which was insane, by the way. I was like, how are they even going to stretch that? And they did. They put John Cena out there. They put The Rock out there. They had long entrances. They had stuff that was going on backstage. They had Hulk Hogan come out and get booed to like, they basically... They sent him out there and he was getting arrows. I mean, he was getting shot across the chest. It was crazy. It was crazy. But you can kind of see the timeline there. You saw The Undertaker. You saw John Cena. You saw the Rock. Although some people say that he was the final boss. He was certainly wearing the final boss clothes, but he was definitely shareholder Dwayne, and he was soaking in the adulation in the moment, the huge moment of Raw making this leap to Netflix. And they certainly let us know that they were on Netflix every 5 minutes. It seemed like it. So if WrestleMania was the WWE's Super Bowl, this episode of Raw, this debut episode on Netflix, was very much like their Pro Bowl. And they even sat their quarterback on the bench. They sat Cody Rhodes out in the crowd during the show, and The Rock came out to open the show after Triple H had his grand opening, where he was unveiled behind the curtain, the large curtain that was over the ring, and he stood there in the middle of the ring and asked the crowd the infamous question, "Are you ready?" And so The Rock comes out at the beginning and basically nukes the whole build of the past year for his potential WrestleMania matchups with Cody Rhodes or even with Roman Reigns. Just nuked it. Just sat there right there, non-canon promo where he's thankful. He thanks everybody. This is a celebration. He even thanked Cody Rhodes in the crowd, which I thought was interesting. if you're gonna really just call off this entire like Mama Rhodes and like Don't Ever Break My Heart Again type of story that they built to post WrestleMania 40, then bring him in the ring and give him his true flowers. That was the one thing that I was hoping that we would see, is The Rock bring Cody Rhodes into the ring and give him that opportunity to have that spotlight, because he did take the ball and run for the rest of the year of 2024 as the undisputed World Heavyweight Champion. And he had some great matches with AJ Styles and Logan Paul. He was an ambassador. He was everywhere. He was doing podcasts. He had his own podcast. He was doing Wheatley tequila or vodka commercials. Sorry, not tequila. That's The Rock. He was doing vodka commercials. He was promoting the Wheatley vodka. He was everywhere. I mean, I saw him on Andrew Schultz's podcast. I saw him on the Two Bears in One Cave, Bert Kreischer, and and the other guy, and Tom Segura. I saw him everywhere. Cody Rhodes straight up took the ball and ran with it, and he was the odds-on MVP of the WWE for the second half of 2024. So The Rock not bringing him out and just kind of pointing him to the crowd, I hope they roll with that. Like, I really hope that what we just got was not The Rock calling off his match at WrestleMania and going to finish his story with Vin Diesel, like kind of what Vin Diesel alluded to at the Golden Globes the night prior. I hope The Rock reads the room, because I swear to God, The Rock does this shit on purpose. It's like when he's wanted or needed, like now or at any other point in Roman Reigns' career before last spring, he's like, I'm asleep. And then when The Rock's absolutely not wanted or needed, like 2013 or last year, he goes, if you smell, he's like, he's out there. It's very interesting the way that The Rock does that. And so hopefully this was just kind of like his way of saying, like, tonight's a celebration. Tonight we're working with the WWE and Netflix to do this joint thing. I'm a shareholder. And then now he's on tomorrow as this video is coming out, he's probably already been on NXT, and hopefully he becomes a little bit more of the final boss. And then as we start to lead up to WrestleMania, we start to see more of asshole Dwayne, who is either going to go after Roman Reigns for calling himself the Tribal Chief and maybe losing his way, or trying to revert back to old Tribal Chief Roman, which would be an interesting story beat, or he goes after Cody Rhodes. In my world, Roman Reigns and The Rock needs to happen. It's time to let it just happen so they can get it behind us and then go to somewhere else. Now, I understand that as well, that they do have a loose end that they haven't tied up with Cody Rhodes and The Rock as well. If they want to go Roman Reigns and CM Punk and Cody Rhodes and The Rock, I am not going to balk at that at all. But it seems, because Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre both took massive L's at the debut episode of Netflix, that something is bound to happen with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. And I just think another year where they're not prominently placed on a WrestleMania card is just not going to be good for them, but it could be good for their story. And I don't know if they're going to align together as a duo or as a trifecta with Kevin Owens. I don't know how that's going to play out, but I am interested to see where we're going to go with the three of those guys post Royal Rumble, when Kevin Owens is not the undisputed world champion, when Seth Rollins is still looking for that win against CM Punk, when Drew McIntyre is still the bloodline headhunter trying to gain a measure of revenge. What is going to happen on the road to WrestleMania for those three guys, because they have also been underdogs and seemingly underappreciated in the build to Raw, debuting on Netflix and growing into prominence the way that it has the last 2 years. The MVPs, aside from Cody Rhodes, are definitely Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, who have really stepped their game up and really been ambassadors as well. And that should be spoken for, and that also should be accentuated to present them in more of a villain that has an arc that is relatable, that can also make them look like they might deserve to get their comeuppance, but they're also they also have a point, and they also could be kind of good at the same time, right? Roman gets the Ulafala. They tease The Rock, causing some tension there, but then he gives the Ulafala to Roman Reigns. It was very interesting that they went to that. They went with that. I mean, The Rock just really, he wants everybody to keep guessing, I guess. He is stretching this almost to the point where it could snap. I don't know how much more this rubber band can stretch, but I guess we're going to find out, right? Now that Roman Reigns is the OTC with the Ulafala, there is nothing for him. There's nothing left for him. So I wonder where they're going to go with this. I wonder what story beat is next. What happens to the Rogue Bloodline? Does Jacob Fatu follow Roman around with prayer hands saying, "I love you, Roman," while Reigns tries to shake him, and then everywhere he goes around the corner, there's prayer hands, Jacob just popping up in his face? Like, I joked about that on the Keeping It 100 podcast. They did a live stream on Tuesday night, and I mentioned that, and they were like, "Dude, come on, man!" Like, they didn't understand the humor of it, and I get it. I mean, I just typed it into the chat, and they mentioned it. And go check out the K100 podcast. Go to their YouTube and check out their live video. It was for Tuesday. They had a really good, it was like an hour plus, like Q&A and just kind of talking. And they had Husey on. They had Joe Feeney, who's the guy that does the production. And they also had Ben Hameen on, I think he's a great mind in professional wrestling as well. And of course, Conan and Disco Inferno, they do some great work as well. So when you got the time, go check them out, man. If you haven't already, that's a really great podcast that those guys got. And the title, it says it all. They keep it 100. Sometimes it's too rough and too 100 for a lot of people. It's harsh at times, but they give it to you straight, and you got to give them props on that. But yeah, I said that in the chat, and they were like, "Come on, man, you're gonna make him look like a wuss." And I agree. I mean, Jacob Fatu, he's unhinged, and he needs to be. I think the werewolf, the Samoan werewolf in Jacob Fatu coming out now that there's really no reason for him to be aligned in the Rogue Bloodline and to just be unhinged, I think is going to be a great arc for Jacob if they do that. But yeah, I'm really wondering what's going to happen with this Rogue Bloodline now that they don't really have anything to fight for anymore. The Ulafala's gone. So is Solo going to crawl back to Roman? Is Tama Tonga and Tongaloa now going to just be roaming around as a tag team to try to reestablish some sort of dominance and momentum? Is Jacob Fatu going to go super crazy and then go after Roman Reigns or go after, a championship belt or something? It's going to be interesting to see where they go with them, but that seemed to me to be a closing of the chapter for Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. So it's no longer that civil war, and I thought it ended at Survivor Series, but this really seemed like this was the end. And another feud that seemed like it was saying goodbye was Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. They really seem to be closing the chapter on that as well. So what happens? Does Liv Morgan now start moving towards SmackDown and go after Tiffany Stratton, who just won the women's championship on that brand? There seemed to be some, no love lost between those two. And I believe Liv Morgan actually has a win over Tiffany Stratton. So do they play on that? Do we see Liv and Dominic go on that brand and then leave Rhea Ripley to be dominant on Raw? But who challenges Rhea Ripley going forward? She got a great nod from The Undertaker, who came out as the American Badass, and they posed for that big camera op. I thought it was dope for them to do that. Really didn't understand why, to be honest with you, but it was like, a dominant superstar like The Undertaker, who dominated the heavyweight men's division for as long as he did, with a WrestleMania record, the likes of which no one has ever seen and maybe no one ever will see again in what The Undertaker did. Rhea Ripley getting that kind of like rub from The Undertaker in that regard, or that passing of the torch for now Rhea Ripley to be that dominant heavyweight in the women's division, the likes of which no one has ever seen, but in her way, I think it was really nice touch, and maybe they are going with that. I don't know her WrestleMania record, but is she undefeated at WrestleMania? I don't think so. I think Charlotte beat her, possibly. But are they going to try to establish her as that attraction in the women's division, like how they established The Undertaker as the big attraction in the WWE for as long as he did? I would like to see that, and I think that she can carry that torch in that regard. There's nobody like her in the WWE, and it's going to be interesting to see if there is somebody that can be a formidable opponent that's not using the mind games like Liv Morgan used, but that actually has the prowess and the stature of someone like Rhea Ripley, where you look at this woman and go, oh, she might be able to beat Rhea Ripley, and decisively. I think that's what could be next for Rhea Ripley going into WrestleMania. Whether it's Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair coming back. I mean, even Becky Lynch, right? Becky Lynch has the, she has the she has the card that says that, she deserves that rematch as well. So, I mean, they could be going a lot of different directions. It would be interesting to see what they decide to choose for the road to WrestleMania. And also something that's interesting that I caught from Raw on Netflix was the, just how many different directions that they can go for the WrestleMania build, which I really like. They did this last year in a way where we all kind of expected Cody Rhodes to finish his story. And then boom, all of a sudden The Rock comes back and The Rock is saying, I'm going to WrestleMania to face Roman Reigns. And we were like, no, the fuck you're not, dude. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing it. And the crowd just like balked at the idea of that. Like, Cody needs to finish his story. And there was this kind of this cloud that shrouded the everything that we thought WrestleMania 40 was going to be is suddenly a lie, and we have no idea what's going to happen. And then eventually we do get Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns, but that's on night 2. On night 1, we get The Rock returning to professional wrestling, teaming with Roman Reigns, the the Bloodline Ultra group, going against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, who were enemies at one point, where it's Seth Rollins going down 3-0 to Cody Rhodes. I mean, in a great series of matches, when Cody Rhodes returned to the WWE, they are now teaming up and they are going against the WWE's Bloodline Mega Powers. So we didn't see that coming the way that it rolled out. And I like that they're doing this mysterious build to WrestleMania. Is John Cena, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Gunther, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, The Rock. Where are they going for WrestleMania? What pieces are going to get moved, and what lineup are we going to get? And I know they won't disappoint. But remember, WrestleMania 41 is in Las Vegas. So whether they, whatever they decide to go with, it's going to be huge. They're not going to disappoint. And they got a lot of different ways to kind of switch the WrestleMania card out, which makes it exciting because they got a lot to play with. A lot of fresh matchups, a lot of matchups we haven't seen in a while. CM Punk and The Rock, CM Punk and Seth Rollins 2, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes and John Cena and The Rock and Roman Reigns and CM Punk, Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. I think I said that already, but you understand what I'm saying. It's like you can move all of these around and who knows where they go, but they're all exciting and they all have a story behind it, and I like that they're doing that. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see where they go with it. But I'm going to keep it 1 thou wow as far as the Raw. It wasn't Raw. It was Rawcelmania. They should have had the Slammies. I mean, this was a debut episode. Basically, like I said, non-canon, not a whole lot of storyline progression, a lot of finality with some storylines, and now they're going to build new storylines going into WrestleMania, and probably that are going to expand to the rest of the year. So this was kind of like a big reset. This was the world premiere. So now the next episode, which I believe next Monday's episode, and maybe even Friday's SmackDown, they're going to start to establish new stories, new feuds, and new build, and to give you kind of an idea of where they're going to go heading into WrestleMania. But this was the start, and and they got a lot to talk about. I thought it was pretty interesting, but yeah, like not a whole lot coming out of the Raw on Netflix that says like, oh, we know what's going to happen at WrestleMania, and oh, it's going to be this and that. There's really not a whole lot of that, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. And as a fan, I'm going to step back, and of course I'm going to fantasy cook in my head. I might fantasy cook in this channel and drop some of this good nutritious plate of hot fantasy cooking right at your front table right here, and drop it down for you guys. I might do that, but at the same time, I really, as a fan, I want to sit back and watch how this rolls out, because I'm just as excited as you guys are about the possibility. But like I said, if I had the book, I would be looking at Rock Roman or Cody Rock. But Randall Keith Orton coming back, kicking that ladder out from under Kevin Owens and hitting him with an RKO. and then hitting Cody Rhodes with an RKO. Wow. I mean, the roof would explode. I mean, as a tweener, he doesn't have to be a heel. I like that too. Oh, I like that. Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and Cody Rhodes feuding going into WrestleMania. I like that too. So we'll see what happens. You guys let me know in the comment section. What'd you think of the Raw debut on Netflix? Is it thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, thumbs down? You guys let me know. What do you think is going to happen next week on Raw? I imagine we go back to normal. But that's just me, and I don't think we see something like this again until probably Saturday night's main event or something like that, and then maybe they do another Raw Netflix special event or something. But this was a one-off. It was WrestleMania. It was a preview to WrestleMania. It was their Pro Bowl, and they threw everything they could to bring fans from the forgotten eras, from the 90s era, from the golden era, bring those guys back in, the fans, and bring new fans in that haven't seen it before, that go, wow, there's a lot of celebrities here, and then bring the diehard fans in that are going to show up for anything, so I hope, at the end of the day, I hope this build is as calculated as we have seen WWE for a while, and there was some purpose. But that Rock promo, man, was something else, man. But anyways, that was it for me. I'm going to head out. You guys, as always, hit the notifications button if you haven't already, so you can stay in tuned and stay tuned for more.